This is lesson 110, equations and functions. Magazines. Suppose you can buy magazines for $4 each. Copy and complete the table to find the cost of 2, 3, and 4 magazines. 2 magazines would be 4 times 2, which is 8. 3 magazines would be 4 times 3, which is 12. 4 magazines, which would be 4 times 4, which is 16. Describe the pattern in the table between the cost and the number of magazines. Well, if you take the number of magazines, N, and multiply it times 4, you'll get the cost of the magazines. A relationship that assigns exactly one output value for each input value is called a function. In a function, you start with an input number, perform one or more operations on it, and get an output number. The operation performed on the input is given by the function rule. You can organize the input numbers, output numbers, and the function rule in a function table. The set of input values is called the domain, and the set of output values is called the range. You can see that here. Domain, range. Javier saves $20 each month. Make a function table to show his savings after 1, 2, 3, and 4 months. Then identify the domain and the range. Well, 1 month times 20 is 20. 2 months times 20 is 40. 3 months times 20 is 60. 4 months times 20 is 80. The domain is the number of months. The range is the total savings. This would be your function rule. Suppose a student movie ticket costs $3. Make a function table that shows the cost of 1, 2, 3, and 4 tickets. Then identify the domain and the range. Okay, so we have tickets. And we have cost. Our function rule would be n times 3. So 1 ticket is 1 times 3, which is 3. 2 tickets is 2 times 3, which is 6. 3 tickets is 3 times 3, which is 9. 4 tickets would be 4 times 3, which is 12. This is the domain, the input, this is the range, or the output, and this is our function rule. Functions are often written as equations with 2 variables, one to represent the input and one to represent the output. Here's an equation for the sample in example 1. That's back here where we were dealing with the $20 a month that Javier was saving. $20 represents the amount saved each month, X represents the number of months, and Y represents the total savings. An armadillo sleeps 19 hours each day. Write an equation using 2 variables to show the relationship between the number of hours an armadillo sleeps in D days. So here's our hours, here's our days. We take the days times 19 gives us the hours. Number of hours slept equals number of days times 19 hours each day. D represents the number of days. H represents the number of hours. The equation is then hours equals 19 times D. So how long does the armadillo sleep in 4 days? Well, we take the 4, we replace the D with the 4. We multiply 19 times 4, and we find that the armadillo sleeps 76 hours in 4 days. A botanist discovers that a certain species of bamboo grows 4 inches each hour. Write an equation using two variables to show the relationship between the growth in inches and the bamboo plant in hours, h hours. If it grows 4 inches each hour, our equation then would be 4 times h equals g. Use your equation to explain how to find the growth in inches of this species of bamboo after 6 hours. Well, we simply replace the h with the 6. That'll give us the g. 24 equals g. This is our input, h, or the domain. This is our output, or the range. Copy and complete each function table, then identify the domain and range. Y equals 3x. This would be 6. This would be 9. This would be 3 times 4, which is 12. Domain, input. Range, output. 3x, function rule. Domain, range, function rule. Y equals 4x, so 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12. The domain, input. The range, output. Function rule, 4x. Jonas downloads 8 songs each month into his digital music player. Make a function table that shows the total number of songs downloaded for after 1, 2, 3, and 4 months. Then identify the domain and the range. Okay, so our input would be the months. Our range would be the songs. Our function rule would be 8n. So for 1 month, it's 8 times 1, which is 8. For 2 months, 8 times 2 is 16. 3 months, 8 times 3, which is 24. 4 months, 8 times 4, which is 32. Domain, input. Range, output. Function rule. Okay? For exercises 4 and 5, use the following information. The top speed reached by a race car is 231 miles per hour. Write an equation using two variables to show the relationship between the number of miles, so that's one of our variables, that a car can travel in h hours. Okay, so input is hours, output is miles. Our function rule is 231 times h. Use your equation to explain how to find the distance in miles the race car will travel in 3 hours. So we would simply take our equation, which is 231h equals m. We replace the h with 3, gives us the number of miles the car travels. That would be 693 equals m. These are our answers. You can check and see if yours are correct. And I believe we are correct on most of these. This is your vocabulary for this lesson. You are expected to memorize these. You'll be evaluated on your knowledge of the vocabulary at some point in the chapter. At this point, you should quit the video, go back to the Scott Highlands homepage, use the Moodle login link. When you get this page Type in your username, which is your 6-digit student number, and your password, which is the first 6 digits of your last name, and your 2-digit birthday.